Episode 17 When Stories and Words Become Memories. Hello Cubs, and welcome back to another episode of Cubslog. Words and stories are what shapes us into the people that we are. Some stories entertain us, some comfort us, some might even challenge us, and some stay with us for years without us even realizing it.
Maybe it's a childhood book that you still know by heart. Maybe it's a poem that made you stop because it perfectly captured a feeling you couldn't put into words yourself. Or maybe it's a single sentence that appeared at exactly the right moment and quietly changed the way you look at life. The words we carry often become part of us. They shape our thoughts, inspire our dreams, and sometimes help us through difficult moments.
Woojin has a beautiful way with words. His songs hold deep meanings and have helped a lot of us to find our way out of the dark. And just like every person has a unique story, every cup has different words that have left an impression on them. So for this episode, we invited cups to share the books, poems, stories and quotes that have stayed with them over the years. The words they return to, the stories they treasure, and perhaps even the ones they would like to recommend to Woojin. So let's take a moment to listen to these stories, poems and words that cups carry with them.
Hi, Cups. As a little girl, I had a crazy imagination, and I was really about fantasy and magic. So, read became naturally the best way to dive in, and Looks Like Stories of Life Warriors was my favorite books until now. I love how they face troubles just being themselves, true, sincere, and how they evolve in their heart to understand, appreciate people, share their misery, and finally realize that magic is not enough to fix everything, because the human's heart is the most beautiful power. This is why my favorite childhood book was an old one called 𝓒𝓾𝓫 𝓣𝓾𝓷 in French, and in English, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. At this time, I didn't know it was a musical movie. Someone said it was perfect for me as I love to create characters and write weird stories. When I grew up, I had to study in school a French classical called 𝓒𝓾𝓫 by Émile Zola. It's the first book that made me cry. It was a dark, rude, and true story of the coal miners of the 19th century. I had to study, and it became very hard to go to the end. The harsh reality of the hard workers, crushed by the aristocracy, fighting for their rights and a decent life, touched me a lot. Today I love the irony that finally, centuries after, nothing has really changed. Strikes are on the rise, and our world is a beautiful zoo. We still can find a way to share in a smart way and peacefully. I will finish with my favorite quote, which is "Freedom is the best illusion." I like this quote because most of us are some kind of society slaves, depending on so many rules and modern facilities, and of course, most of all, too much high-tech addicted to pretend to be free.
Stories have been part of my life for as long as I can remember. One of my favorite childhood memories is sitting with my grandpa and listening to him tell stories. Fairy tales, fantasy worlds, magical creatures, adventures. I loved all of it. I remember listening to audiobooks every night before falling asleep and dreaming myself away to places that only existed in stories. 𝓒𝓾𝓷 the Lucky Dragon was one of my childhood heroes, and part of me genuinely hoped I would meet him one day. Even though the stories I enjoy have changed a bit over the years, the comfort they bring has always stayed the same. I think what draws me to stories most is that they allow us to see the world differently. Whether it is a fantasy novel, a mystery, a poem, the stories that stay with me are usually the ones that challenge simple answers. They remind me that people are rarely just good or bad, that there is always more beneath the surface, and that understanding someone often means looking beyond first impressions. The books or stories that call to me don't necessarily need to be from a specific genre, but somehow fantasy is where I almost always end up. I have 3 books that I briefly want to talk about. I Am Made of Memories, from the Song of Achilles. A retelling, or rather reimagination, of the life of Achilles from the perspective of someone who loved him dearly. It's not a new story, but at the same time it is. It shines a very different light on Achilles. It's a book that thrives on the beautiful way in which it was written, showing that the picture you have of someone will always change with the person that paints that picture. If you open yourself to the story, I dare say it has the potential to move you deeply. I actually always had a fascination for the Roman Empire and Roman as well as Greek mythology. I did enjoy my Latin classes a lot when I was in school, simply because I had access to all the stories and myths, making them feel alive while translating old texts. So this book to me also was a callback to that. A story that I already knew, or that I thought I knew. It inspired me to take a deeper dive into the figure of Achilles, and I'm glad that I did. I might not be able to decide whether the road is easy or not, but whether I walk is entirely up to me. From Heaven Official's Blessings. A story about how those who rise will also fall, but also about how those who have fallen can always be able to rise up again. On how, if you find your own reason, you will be able to do and be the unexpected. A beloved crown prince who ascends to heaven only to be banished and repeat that cycle again and again, being forced to challenge his own morals and beliefs while staying true to himself. I think what people were is less important than what they are, and what they are is less important than what they could be. From Dark Rise. A world that was once filled with magic, but that is no more. Its heroes are dead, its halls are ruins, and its battles forgotten. Only the stewards remember. They keep their promise, sworn to protect humanity. Everything's decided, the light must win over the darkness. But the question remains as to who belongs to the light and who is actually filled with darkness. The past is set to repeat itself. Fate is a heavy burden in the present. It's a story about expectations and prejudices. I would like to read you a passage from Book 2, Dark Air, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I begin to fear that all we have done has been not of the light, but in the service of the shadow. Why did we isolate ourselves behind our walls? Why did we keep our knowledge of the old world hidden? Why did we not forge alliances or enlist others of the old world in this fight? Were our decisions our own, or did they come from that dark seed that we carry inside us, the shadows planted by the Dark King? I think of the day I drank, years of training leading me to the cup. All I wanted, as a novitiate, was to be worthy to be your shieldmate. I think about that moment now, not the test or the celebration, but the moment when they brought forth the cup. I think of Cyprian. I do not want him to drink. I do not want him to feel this inside him, to lose himself, to be trapped in the shadow, as I feel, as I am. I am lost in the dark. But he has a way out. It is too late for me. It is not too late for him. It's harder to hold the pen. My hands aren't steady. I have to concentrate to stay myself. I fear sleep. If I close my eyes, I will become a shadow completely. I will hold. I will not falter. In the darkness, I will be the light. I will walk the path and defy the shadow. I am myself, and I will hold. Flipping forward again, she saw that handwriting had changed. Deteriorating over the course of the journal, it was now a wild scrawl, barely legible. Even the words felt unstable. They talk freely in front of me now. They believe that I am too far gone. They think I no longer have the will to work against my shadow master. They talk of the stuff. They believe they can command what lies beneath the mountain. They think no one can stop them. They say they will find the vessel. The vessel will birth the king. They think us old-fashioned in our ways, ill-matched with the modern world. They say the final flame is waning and that the time of the stewards is done. They do not know that my mind is clear. The stewards cannot do this alone. We must gather the old allies. We must call for the king. We must find the Lady of the Light. We must find the champion who can wield 𝓒𝓾𝓷 and reforge the shield of 𝓒𝓾𝓷. The dark grew strong when the old alliances were broken, for we will surely fall if we are sundered. Is not that the way of the dark, to let us turn on each other and not the greater threat? Let us put aside old grudges and differences. Let the shadows find us united. Let us stand against the dark as one. The shadow fears these thoughts. It fights my pen. It wants us to splinter, as the shield splintered. At times it becomes me, and I want us to splinter. I want us to break apart. It's very dark here. I can't see the stars. Justice, were you a dream? I think if you were not real, I would have had to dream you. I'd hold on for such a dream, that I would hear your footsteps and look up and see your smile. I am not a shadow. I am Marcus. I am Marcus. This cage will open. I will see your face, and you will draw your sword. I know that you will be the last thing I will see. I know it. Justice. It's just so dark. He is coming. He is coming. He is coming. He is coming. There was a sound behind her. She snatched the papers and shoved them into her jacket, jerking around to see what had caused the sound. It was Mrs. Duval. You see now what we face? Said Mrs. Duval. And why you need to learn to fight? Violet's heart was pounding. Why is that? Because more than the Dark King is going to come back. They are all very different stories, but they share something important. They invite you to question what you think you know and to form your own conclusion. I like being able to take a piece of a story and carry it with me. A small advice, a lesson, a new perspective. They are all precious. The one story that influenced me the most probably set me up for all of this. This story helped me shape my mindset. It set my way of thinking to invite these kind of stories. And that is Dead Poets Society. Somehow, it feels like I am part of that society now. Or rather, I would like to be. I mean, who wouldn't love to be part of Mr. Keating's class? To discover the beauty and wonders that words and stories can create. In Dead Poets Society, a group of young boys discovers a new way of thinking through a teacher that uses unconventional teaching methods. Mr. Keating challenges his students to send their barbaric yob into the world, to embrace themselves for who they are and carry their own stories out into the world. We all have a great need for acceptance, but you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others might think them odd or unpopular. Like this, he encourages his students to live their lives and go confidently on their own path. to always take their own thoughts and opinions into consideration. Not be limited to what others say or think. No one can live your life for you. Dreams and imagination is what makes us who we are. They are what we stay alive for. Stories and poems have the power to connect us through time, cultures, and even languages. A quote I always come back to, for example, is "Nihil est hominum inepta persuasione falsius nec ficta servitate ineptus" by Petron. It's in Latin, and it translates to "Nothing can be more insincere than the silly prejudices of mankind, and nothing sillier than the morality of bigotry." Although this quote is from a time long past, wouldn't you say and agree that it's also very suitable for modern society? Especially with AI and people influencing us to think in a certain direction, it's crucial to always remind ourselves to constantly look at things differently, to keep our mind busy. Because if your thoughts get lazy, it is easy for others to influence them. And stories remind us to stay curious, to keep an open mind, and to see people for who they are rather than what they are. In a way, I think it is also why I love Woojin's music so much. His songs tell stories too. Every song paints a different picture, filled with emotions that we all know very well, but experience in different ways. So if I could leave Cubs with one final thought, it will be one of the many teachings of Mr. Keating. It's carpe diem. Seize the day, Cubs. Make your lives extraordinary.
Hello, Cubs. For today's episode, I wanted to share 3 poems with you. The first poem is called The Sea. It was written by someone from 80s, and I really just wanted to share this poem because I thought it's really beautiful, but also I really find it fascinating to see another art form like poetry from someone who is known for making music. The Sea. The sea led me into liberation. As if enchanted, I offered my bare feet to the water. Between my toes, the grains of sand seeped in warmly, embracing me, and the waves carried away all my worries. The dawn sun, rising beyond the horizon, gave light to my eyes. The passing wind, clear air between my breath, a lingering trace. When every sense stood on edge, all sensations I had entrusted, was that me at peace? The other 2 poems I chose because they really reminded me of Woojin, but also of Cubs. They remind me of the strength, the beauty, resilience, and endless amount of love we share with him. So I hope hearing them will really make you happy. Strength. The strength to be you. The strength to feel completely safe to be you. This is perhaps the greatest strength of all, my love, because it means there is no more fear, no more doubt, no more disguises to please, and no more masquerades. And through this strength, you can love yourself. Through this strength, you can embrace your flaws as your charm, your grace, your beauty. Through this strength, you can be free. The last poem is called Them. Angel, It was never about you. It was always about them. Their fears, their insecurities, doubts and misdeeds. Their desire to be right. Their lack of feeling to move towards some light. So don't pound your heart any further. Don't wrestle with the past. It was never about you.
When I was younger, I had a teddy bear keychain. The bear is very small and has dress. I love it and it was very special to me. And one day I lost it. I searched the whole house, the garden, the whole village along the roads I walked. I even looked for him at the neighbor's house. It hurt me a lot. I searched the same place for several weeks. One day, grandmother of the little girl from the neighbors told me, "You will find it when you stop looking for it." I didn't understand it. It seems like a complete nonsense to me. But another few weeks later, I really stopped looking for him. I gave up and accepted that I had simply lost him. I think it was a few months later, when I was just doing the usual things in my room, like cleaning, playing, and other things. And in one of the drawers was my little bear with dress. He was suddenly there. I'm sure I was looking there for him, but suddenly he was there. I almost went crazy. I couldn't believe my luck. And at that moment, I remembered the words of that grandmother again. And as life went on, I realized that this sentence is not just about things, but about everything. I spent so much time looking for true friends. People who would love me for who I am and not try to change me. I was resigned to spending most of my time alone, sharing what I love only with myself. Even though it's okay for me, I'm such a lone wolf. It was still a nice dream to have someone to share everything with. I have also gone through very difficult moments myself. And then suddenly, Cubs and 𝓒𝓾𝓼 appeared in my life. And I naturally and effortlessly found the best friends, right when I stopped looking for it. Oh, it makes me very emotional. So Cubs, please remember this when you feel lost. Isn't it funny? All roads leads to bears. Love you, Cubs.
We are like books. Most people only see our cover. A few read only the introduction. Many believe the critics. Only a few will truly know our content. Hi Cubs! This was a poem by Émile Zola. Since it fits this episode, I wanted to share it. I don't know what to talk about because I have too much to talk about. I love books. I love poetry, words, language, stories. Since I can remember, I've always had books around me. They are my safe space. As adult life hit me, I've lost the connection to books. I just read stuff for work. Since Woojin started his military service, I started to read again. Maybe I needed some comfort back. It warms my heart that Woojin is also a little poetry lover. He often used quotes or poems in his Woologs, and I think that's adorable. Since I could talk for hours, I really try to limit my words here. My favorite book is Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. It's a very atmospheric novel, filled with mystery, romance, historical events, and the world of books. It plays in Barcelona, a city I also love. I absolutely adore how the author uses his words. No one ever captured me like that. It's a series of 4 books, and I still have to read one of them. I started with the 4th book. without knowing it's a series. Then the second, then the first. The funny thing is, these books always found me. The fourth book came from my mom. The second I found in a second-hand store. And a month later, I found the first. I want to keep this magical until the third book finds me. Not to spoil here, but this very much fits the story. I would like to read you a poem I adore. It's called Mondnacht, Moon Night, by 𝓒𝓾𝓫𝓼. Okay? Let's go. Mondnacht. Es war, als hätte der Himmel die Erde still geküsst, dass sie im Blütenschimmer von ihm nun träumen müsst. Die Luft ging durch die Felder, die Ähren wogten sacht, es rauschten leis die Wälder, so sternklar war die Nacht. Und meine Seele spannte weit ihre Flügel aus, flog durch die stillen Lande, als flöge sie nach Haus. This poem describes the magic of nature and the moonlight. In the end, the lyrical self spreads its wings and flies home. So, of course, I thought of Woojin. What else? Speaking of Woojin, in the end, I want to share a beautiful poem that could be very meaningful for him and Cubs. I don't know the author, but it's called You Are Sea Glass. So, Woojin, this is for you. I hope you know you aren't broken glass. You are sea glass, shaped by the tides, softened by the waves that once felt like they'd shatter you. What you've been through hasn't made you less. It's made you rare and luminous. Even the toughest waters can create something beautiful. And that's what you are, a reminder that survival can turn into art.
It's fascinating how words written by strangers can travel across years, countries, and languages to reach exactly the person who needs them. Stories remind us that even though our lives are different, many of our feelings are shared. Love, hope, fear, courage, loneliness, joy. People have been writing about them for generations. And perhaps that's why stories matter so much. They remind us that we are never truly alone.
No matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world. Woojin, if you're listening to this one day, we hope you've enjoyed hearing the stories that Cubs choose to share. Maybe some of them sparked your interest, and maybe, just like us, you'll discover a sentence or a book that stays with you long after you've turned its final page.
As for Cubs, thank you for sharing these pieces of yourself with us today. Every recommendation, every quote, every memory shared in this episode tells a story not only about the books you love, but also about the person you are. And perhaps that is the most beautiful story of all. Until next time, keep collecting stories, keep sharing them, and keep carrying them with you. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?
더 높이 날아 Whoa, whoa, 더 멀리 날아
Noi ti aspetteremo.
𝓒𝓾𝓫𝓼.
Te esperaremos.
Nous allons t'attendre.
On t'attendra.
Nós vamos esperar por ti.
Vamos esperar por você.
私たちはあなたを待っています。
Sini bekleyiz.
Hintayin ka namin.
Wir werden auf dich warten.